The woods were quiet in that unnatural way that makes every sound feel louder than it should be. The kind of silence that presses against your ears and makes your heart beat faster for no clear reason. She was dragged between the trees by 4 teenagers who thought laughter could drown out fear, who thought cruelty was just a game that ended when they got bored. Her shoes scraped against rocks and roots as she begged them to stop, her voice breaking, her hands shaking so badly she could barely protect her face. They mocked her tears, calling her weak, calling her nothing, convincing themselves she didn't matter. None of them noticed the faint crunch of footsteps deeper in the forest, or the pair of watchful eyes that never left them. They reached a shallow pit hidden by leaves and loose soil, something dug earlier with careless effort and evil intention. One of them shoved her forward, and she fell hard, knocking the air from her lungs as panic exploded in her chest. Dirt was kicked down onto her legs while they argued and laughed, daring each other to go further, to prove who was the toughest. She screamed again, promising she wouldn't tell anyone, promising anything they wanted, but promises mean nothing to people who don't see you as human. From the ridge above, a tall figure stood still, muscles tense, breathing slow, while a large dog beside him lowered its head, ears alert, sensing the danger instantly. The bullies began shoveling dirt with their hands and boots, clumps of soil thudding against her arms and stomach. Each impact felt heavier than the last, not just because of the weight, but because of the realization settling in her mind that this might not be a prank. This might be the end. Her thoughts raced to her mother, to unfinished dreams, to the unfairness of it all. Above them, the man in camouflage studied every movement with cold precision, reading their body language like a battlefield map. He placed a hand on his dog's back, a silent command for patience, even as his jaw tightened with controlled fury. One of the boys hesitated, glancing around nervously, sensing something was wrong. He joked about cameras or hikers, trying to laugh away the fear creeping up his spine. Another told him to shut up and keep going, afraid that stopping now would make it real, would make him face what they were doing. Dirt kept falling, and her breathing grew shallow as panic threatened to steal her strength. The dog let out a low growl, barely audible, but enough to make the man's eyes narrow. He checked the wind, the distance, the escape routes, every instinct honed by years of combat coming alive in seconds. When the girl's cries turned weak and desperate, something snapped. The man moved. He stepped out from the trees like a shadow becoming solid, his voice sharp and commanding, cutting through the forest like a blade. The bullies froze, eyes wide, hearts slamming against their ribs as they turned to see him and the massive dog at his side. Before anyone could run, the dog barked once, deep and powerful, a sound that promised consequences. The man told them to step away, slow and calm, his tone leaving no room for argument. They felt it then, the difference between pretending to be dangerous and facing someone who truly was. Panic replaced cruelty as they stumbled backward, hands raised, excuses spilling from their mouths. They claimed it was a joke, that they didn't mean it, that they were just messing around. The man didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He simply ordered them to lie face down on the ground, and somehow, they obeyed. He helped the girl first, clearing dirt away gently, lifting her out of the pit with care that made her break down sobbing. His dog stayed close, a protective wall of fur and muscle between her and the people who had tried to erase her. The girl clung to him, shaking uncontrollably, her body exhausted, her mind struggling to understand that she was still alive. He wrapped a jacket around her shoulders and spoke softly, grounding her in the present, telling her she was safe now. The bullies watched from the ground, terror sinking in as they realized this wasn't just some random hiker. This was a man trained to handle violence, restraint, and justice. He called for backup, his voice calm and professional, giving precise details while never taking his eyes off them. As they waited, the forest seemed to close in on the bullies instead. Every snapped twig made them flinch, every second stretching unbearably long. They had come here feeling powerful, thinking the woods would hide their actions. Now the same woods felt like witnesses, silent and judging. The girl sat against a tree, wrapped in warmth, holding onto the dog's collar as if it were an anchor to reality. The animal leaned into her, steady and gentle, sensing her fear and offering comfort without needing words. Sirens eventually echoed through the trees, distant at first, then closer, bringing a strange mix of relief and dread. The man stood, signaling the officers in, explaining exactly what happened with clarity and control. The bullies were pulled to their feet, faces pale, bravado completely gone. They avoided looking at the girl, at the pit, at the man who had stopped them. In their silence was the understanding that their lives had just split into a before and an after, and nothing would ever be simple again. As the girl was led away to safety, she looked back once, meeting the eyes of the man and his dog. She didn't have the words to thank them, but she nodded, tears still falling, gratitude and shock tangled together. He nodded back, a quiet acknowledgement, then turned toward the trees, his mission complete. The forest returned to its silence, but it was different now. What had almost been a grave became a reminder that evil doesn't always win, and sometimes, unseen guardians are closer than you think.